Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Thursday, March 24th, 2016. And here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front over there in Asia, things weren't so good. No, down on average about 1.5%. Over there in Europe, not so good either. Down 1-2% in that area. Over here in the States, Mr. Dow was down over 100 points, but closed up a little bit. And gold, had its worst week of the new year. Keeps going down, and you know what I keep saying? Has to find strength over that 1250 mark to keep moving further. And so far, it hasn't done that. So, next week's a new week, but over here in the States, markets are closed tomorrow for Good Friday. And oil. Oil today was down 38 and change, closed up around the 39.40 mark. So, still a lot of weakness, and the weakness coming from that building stockpiles. And what other news do we have today that was good for the markets? Well, first of all, durable good orders declined 2.8%. How's that for good news, huh? They're peddling pessimism, I told you. That's what El Presidente said. No, they're just making up these numbers, right? There was actually a growth of 6.8%. They got it wrong. Durable good orders down 2.8%. So how are they making up this stuff that manufacturing jobs are growing, that retail jobs are growing, when these numbers keep coming out week after week, weaker than the week before? So, also, they downwardly revised non-defense capital good orders, excluding aircraft, a closely watched proxy for business spending plans, decreased 1.8% after advancing by a downwardly revised 3.1% in January. So they downwardly revised January's. So again, this is very, very light trading, lowest week of trading so far this year. So the Dow eked up a little gain, but really not that much. And again, we saw durable good orders. That's a big one. They're down. What else do we have here? Well, U.S. oil shipments fall 5% since end of ban. Lifting a prohibition on exports fails to offset lower trade with Canada. So they lifted that 40-year ban, allows us to export stuff overseas, beyond Canada, but trade is with Canada's down because they got too much oil, and so does the rest of the world. So there we got it. PetroChina cuts back as earnings slide 67%. Remember, I keep reading all of these numbers, me and I, Petrobras, one company after another, state companies, big multinationals. These numbers are big. Imagine losing 67% of your earnings going down. Sales declined 24%. Now, they're saying that the markets and the dollar are holding up because now there's talk about the Fed raising rates. So now there's this confusion going on. So let's get this straight of why we believe the Fed has not raised rates, and all the central planners, because that's what you have in a fascist communist system, we'll call them central banks because that's what they are. They're all in collusion. And that's why the United States is so dovish on raising rates. So now here's a story after all of this pumping up of how inflation's going up in the States. It looks like they're going to raise rates. Here's the downside to it, not to lose sight of it. turnaround adds fuel to global growth debate. Emerging markets are back in positive territory after a sour start of the year as investors bet that central banks will support the global economy for an extended period. Well, if rates go up, they won't be extending growth for the global economy, will they? The MSCI Emerging Market Index, dominated by stocks in China, South Korea, and Taiwan, is up 4.6% this year. Quote, one of the most important drivers is the Fed's dovishness. That has stopped the rally in the U.S. dollar and has been beneficial to EM currencies. Now, wait a minute. They're saying they're going to be raising rates now. Bullard came out, one of the guys that votes on the Fed, and that's all the talk, that they're going to be raising rates. A big reversal from the dovish one. So if they raise rates, one of the most important drivers is the Fed's dovishness, and that's what's driving up the EM markets. So the EM markets will go down if rates go up, because two countries regarded as most exposed to rising U.S. rates are Brazil and South Africa, which rely on international capital to service their budget deficits. In January, both the real and rand touched multi-year lows. At the same time, the average cost of borrowing across developing economies reached a 5-year high of 6.78%. Because the value of the dollar is going up. Yeah. So as the value of the dollar goes up, the cost of borrowing goes up, and these emerging markets go down. So, about $9 trillion in capital flowed into emerging markets between 2005 and 2015. $9 trillion. Fueled by central banks' easy money policies. Okay? They're in a trap. They raise rates, the emerging markets go down. This rally that's short-lived will be shorter-lived. If they keep rates low and keep the dollar down, gold goes up. There you got it. Because they're just printing more cheap money. Good news, those justice departments are finally cracking down on those banking criminals. Big story here, front page, Financial Times. London court orders extradition to U.S. of trader accused of flash crash. Yeah, they got this guy. They're going to bring him to justice. Oh, and you know what bringing to justice, every time it comes out of an American president's mouth, that means killing somebody. We're going to bring those guys to justice, Obama said about the guy that got away that did the alleged terror attack over there in Brussels. Oh, yeah, we're going to bring him to justice. That's what Bush said about Osama bin Laden. Bringing them to justice means killing them. So it looks like this guy's going to be brought to justice. Will they kill them before he gets here? Who knows? But again, what BS. All the big gangsters get off free, and they go after this guy and make a big story of it. What a bunch of hypocrisy. Again, the big news, of course, is what's going on. Belgian brothers named in attacks. Third man is hunted. One more time, siblings unite in terror. Militants strike despite battlefield setbacks. The bombing in Belgium signaled Islamic State's determination to pursue its stated strategy to strike Western capitals, even as it comes under growing pressure in the Middle East strongholds. Brussels attacks linked to Paris. Authorities identified 2 suicide bombers who hit airport and the subway here as brothers with criminal past and began to trace a clear line between their plot and the terrorists behind November's rampage in Paris. Suicide bomber slipped to terror net. Okay. They got it down to who these guys are, they believe. They think there are about 30 people. But now the whole United States and half of, probably most of Europe, is on lockdown. They're turning this into a war zone. Look at what's going on in the airports. Little kids seeing this. All these guys walking around, dogs sniffing all this stuff. What a disgrace. The founding fathers are rolling in their graves seeing what's happened. You look at the news, you see what's going on, and all they're doing is selling fear and hate. Let's get this straight. One person, 30 people, intent on committing crimes could do it. The only way out of this is what President Obama said. I will repeat from what he again said yesterday down in Buenos Aires. He added that carpet bombing wouldn't help defeat the terrorists, but instead serve as a recruitment tactic for the Islamic State. He's right. Carpet bombing? Yeah. How about mass destruction of entire nations? President Obama. How about what you did in Libya? President Obama. How about what's going on with Assad? Thanks to you, President Obama. Are you creating these conditions to radicalize Islamists by destroying Afghanistan, by putting boots back on the ground in Iraq after 1 million people plus have been killed there? And yet they keep coming out with all of this baloney about how they're going to solve the problem. And boy, oh boy, is Hillary shooting her mouth off. She got all the answers. She's coming out with the solutions. Here they are. We face an adversary that is constantly adapting and operating across multiple theaters. So our response must be just as nimble and far-reaching. Nimble and far-reaching, you're losers. Could you add it up? The arrogance. Oh, and everybody's coming out against Trump for saying that we shouldn't be doing so much with NATO and they should be paying their own way. NATO is a fraud. It's a militaristic organization. It was supposed to come down at the end when the Iron Curtain came down. I agree with Trump 100% beyond him. He wants to keep it going. He just wants them to fund it. You read your Trends Journal. Look at your top trends for 2016. Human waves in the trend forecast. The not welcome here debate will not only be an ongoing and contentious theme in the 2016 American presidential reality show, but how to stop the human waves from landing on foreign shores will dominate politics and elections throughout Europe. And we go on and on this. I'm mentioning this because now you're reading the headlines. Populist politicians in U.S. and Europe seize upon blasts. Polish leader backtracks on migrant resettlements. This is not going to end by taking our rights away and by turning this into a police state. And boy, did these guys get off on his stuff, walking with these guns and these dogs and sniffing down old ladies, people in wheelchairs and little kids. The only way this will end is with peace. Can anybody get it in their head? No, because they're politicians. What am I talking about? It's the presidential reality show. Liars, cowards, freaks, and fools in a country near you. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.